It's my great pleasure and honor to welcome one of the world's leaders, the head of the IMF, the former managing director of the World Bank, previously a European commissioner, a leader who cares deeply and understands equally deeply the social and environmental challenges our world faces and the great urgency of bringing solutions to the problems we face. Kristalina Georgieva.
Thank you so much, Ronnie, for your warm introduction. And congratulations on the upcoming publication of your book, Impact. It builds our faith in the power of impact investing, which is at the center of this great action-oriented conference. I'm glad for the opportunity to join you because action is what the world needs right now. The global economy is undergoing a massive transformation. As much as possible, since the start of the COVID-19 crisis, what we have done is to cocoon ourselves. And inside that cocoon, a fundamental change is taking place of our society, of our economy. The actions we take now, this year, the next, will determine what kind of world emerges. One of my favorite writers and activist, Dr. Maya Angelou, said, "We delight in the beauty of the butterfly, but rarely admit the changes it has to go through to achieve that beauty." What does that mean for investors and governments in practice? Looking through the lenses of both COVID and ESG, governments and investors must identify what are the viable businesses of tomorrow that should be supported, and with great care, how they support workers in businesses that are no longer viable to make a transition to jobs in sectors that are due to expand. And above all, how to make sure that what comes out helps us to have resilient, sustainable future. Help us to deal with the shocks of a changing climate already imposed upon us. We can build a job-rich recovery now that powers a sustainable, resilient global economy for the long term. And luckily for us, a job-rich recovery and fighting climate change support each other because many jobs of the future will be in the green economy. At the IMF, we see the importance of sustainable finance and impact investing to shape a post-COVID world. We have undertaken a number of steps in that direction, and let me give you one example. Last year, we included a chapter on sustainable finance in one of our most widely read reports, the Global Financial Stability Report. We have done it because it is clear that financial stability will depend on environmental and social sustainability. So it is important that both the financial sector and governments act to price in and advance sustainability. And for this, we rely on impact data. It can help governments ensure that polluters pay. It can drive progress in all the areas we must work on to build a greener, smarter, fairer recovery for everyone. In short, it can help us emerge from the COVID into a more beautiful world. So thank you for all you're doing and enjoy the rest of the summit.
Thank you Thank you very much, Kristalina, for these very inspiring words. We hear your call to action to shape our future post-COVID, and we also hear your support for transparency on impact data. You can rest assured that this movement will do everything it can to advance our agenda in the direction you have set out. Thank you again for joining us.
Thanks, Ronnie. Well, I hope that you are now very inspired, even more than at the start of the day. So I have a couple of closing thoughts I want to share with you. So yesterday, I ended the day telling you about why the bridge is a wonderful metaphor of why we're here, linking water and earth. We're creating connections for more collaborations. So today, I will tell you about another element, the element of air, making the link with another metaphor, the window. A structure letting fresh air in and creating new possibilities. The scale of the crisis that hit the world this year has revealed how fragile our system is. It has also revealed that change at scale is possible. It has opened our eyes to possibilities that we didn't see before. And that's why being here all together is so exciting. We might actually be creating a historic moment to which we can look back and say, I was here. I'm quite sure that in the past month, and even here at the summit, you have heard a reference to Milton Friedman. I actually heard Bertrand Badré yesterday talk about him. This year is the 50th anniversary of his influential piece that led to our neoliberal society and also to the ills that it has created. So hopefully, yes, we are at a turning point, moving away from stakeholder supremacy to the inclusion of all shareholders, but all stakeholders. From profit as the driver of decisions and the single driver of decisions to impact having the final say. But that's not why I want to tell you about Milton Friedman. In the preface of his book in 1982, Capitalism and Freedom, he wrote, only a crisis, actual or perceived, produces real change. When that crisis occurs, the actions that are taken depend on the ideas that are lying around. And that's why I wanted to start this closing by the image of the window. What ideas are lying around? What ideas seemed crazy yesterday, and now everyone is talking about them? There is even a specific term to describe this. It's called the Overton window. In a nutshell, it's a concept that shows how something that once was politically unthinkable can become mainstream. For instance, did you know that direct cash transfers have now been implemented in 130 countries, including 2 of the biggest global economies, as a response to the crisis? Similarly, universal basic income and wealth taxation are moving into mainstream debate. Did you know that the 400 richest people in one of the wealthiest countries of the world pay lower tax rate than every single other income group, from plumbers to cleaners to nurses to retirees? Did you know that investing 1 million in clean energy infrastructure creates nearly 3 times as many jobs as investing in fossil fuels? All of these topics and examples have been covered by mainstream journalists in the past 6 months. In the past 2 days at this summit, you have heard similar world-changing ideas. Measure what counts and create transparency for more accountability. Support the real economy and small businesses for local and sustainable jobs. Invest into education, healthcare, environment. I heard many inspiring voices today, but one of them was really close to something I care about. It's something that a social entrepreneur mentioned this morning, Samir Ibrahim, the CEO of Sun Culture. He was actually one of the GSG Millennial Entrepreneur Award winners 2 years ago. He said that we need to shift 3 things for his job to be easier now, and for him to create more impact with the people he's working with and working for. Change how we view impact. Reports or technical assistance are nice, but what we should be looking at is to give more money, subsidize the cost of products, and subsidize jobs, provide bridging loans for businesses to be able to recover faster. Move money faster, less diligence and more speed. And finally, coordinate larger pools of money. Spray and pray was nice, but now we have the solutions, we know what works, and we have to fund massively what works. That was kind of what inspired me today, amongst many, many other things. So we believe that these solutions are a responsibility. And we have a unique window of opportunity to push them onto the global stage. And like yesterday, like this morning, I would like to invite 3 young people from our global community to share with you their thoughts on what they're seeing to be the most promising examples or initiatives for an impact-led recovery. So first, I would like to call Claire Mattingly, Senior Program Assistant at the US Impact Investing Alliance.
Hello, are you able to see me?
Nope. But we can hear you, so go ahead, Claire.
Okay, wonderful.
You now.
Oh,
welcome.
Wonderful. Hi, everyone. Thank you, first of all, so much, Kristina. I'm very excited to be participating in my first GSG Summit, and thanks for including me in the closing remarks today. My name is Claire Mattingly. I'm a Senior Program Assistant at the US Impact Investing Alliance, which is the US representative to the GSG and a nonprofit field building organization. I tuned into some excellent breakout sessions today and just wanted to share some of my thoughts and takeaways. But as a framing for the US Impact Investing Alliance, the pandemic and the interconnected crises, whether it be the economic downturn or in particular for the United States, the need to address systemic racism, each of these has reinforced a few things for the Alliance. Number one, the importance of collaboration among the public and private sectors and philanthropy, and 2, the need for communities themselves to drive decision-making. And I think that these 2 pillars have been present through many of the discussions throughout the summit yesterday and today. And I wanted to pull up some examples from that piqued my interest in particular. And watching the breakout session earlier today on catalytic capital and the recovery, the panelists spoke about paving the way and improving the market to encourage other sources of funding and to support, with one really interesting example of high-risk investments gap-filling the missing middle in the affordable housing market in India to great success. And one panelist in particular said that it's time for governments to develop an impact narrative, which I wanted to lift up as a really interesting quote I pulled out. I was also really energized by the breakout session on inclusive decision-making, examples like the work of frontier markets and helping women entrepreneurs in rural India and how they've pivoted their model amid the pandemic. They've been able to help these women to regain their economic agency in co-creating the solutions to shortages of essential supplies amid the COVID pandemic. And I think an important philosophy that each of the participants touched upon was that diversity, equity, inclusion is not just about representation and governance, for example, but it also needs to be paired with behavioral changes and how people are listening and in turn being heard. And I believe it was Elias Masilela from South Africa who said that where you have inclusivity, every economic agent has accountability, which I thought was a really powerful point. Finally, during the forum on the future of asset management and impact investing, it was heartening to hear that the panelists have seen impact funds in both the public and private markets proving to be resilient amid the economic downturn caused by the pandemic. And perhaps it's a bright spot that this will be a forcing mechanism for more and more asset managers and owners to acknowledge that the future of investing is indeed impact investing. So those were some of my thoughts. I really enjoyed today's sessions. And before I turn it back over to Kristina, just wanted to encourage anyone who's interested to join the North America regional session that'll close out day 2 at, I believe, 3:30 p.m. BST. You'll hear from Cliff Breyer of the GSG, as well as representatives from Canada and the United States to discuss the state of the North American impact investing market, as well as some innovative field building and investing initiatives. I know that Fran Siegel, the executive director of my organization, will share some exciting updates on the Tipping Point Fund on Impact Investing. I'm looking forward to joining and hope you will as well. So thank you. I'll turn it back to you now, Kristina.
Yeah, looking forward to that discussion. Thanks a lot, Claire. Thanks a lot. I'm now inviting Deborah Batista from Instituto da Cidadania Empresarial in ICE. She's an analyst there and also a member of the National Advisory Board. So, Deborah, welcome.
Thank you, Chris. I'm Deborah from the Brazil NAB, representing the Brazilian Alliance for Impact Investment and Businesses. It has been an inspire and rich event, and today was not different. We kicked off bright and early here in Brazil. It was 7:40 a.m. when former British PM David Cameron started chatting with Sir Ronald Cohen about the government and companies' challenges and roles during this global crisis we're living in, reinforcing what I think it has become the impact investing mantra: do good and do well. Like Chris said, that was followed by 2 amazing stories from entrepreneurs who overcame a lot of challenges and came up with solutions for gender violence and poor rural and urban communities in record times with outstanding results in the last couple of months. During the day, I attended 2 parallel sessions on outcomes-based financing for education and capacity building for the unemployed. And I did that because this theme is especially challenging for context here in Brazil, where even though there is a high potential for this kind of innovation, this modality of impact investing for social issues is yet to be more widely implemented. This is an effective but expensive and complex mechanism, and there is a clear clash here from different interests from both private and public entities. So it was absolutely inspiring to listen to good practices and examples around the world, such as the UK Social Impact Bond Initiative in Ghana and India, if I'm not mistaken. So here's to hoping we'll have a good example to share it with you in the future. I'll take my last minute here to also make an invitation, and I know there will be a couple of parallel sessions in a minute, but there will also be the Latin American one, and we have been one of the most underserved and affected regions during this pandemic in health, economy, education, furthering inequality. So people have the opportunity to listen to how these countries are reacting on themes of youth employment and education. So there will be a Brazilian entrepreneur there who developed a solution using technology and engaging parents to expressively reduce the dropout ratio in a public school. So this is extremely important in a moment where 2/3 of students from public schools in Brazil have not been having access to learning content in the last 6 months. So I also heard in one of the sessions that around 7 million children and young people will drop out of school after the pandemic. So I'm looking forward to listen to these good practices and examples. It will be an open session, so I invite you all to be there, share it with your network. That's it. I hope I made it to my 3 minutes. Thank you all.
Thanks a lot, Deborah. Yeah, and it will be a hard choice between joining the regional session on Latin America on youth unemployment and the regional session for North America. So you have two choices here. I would like now to invite Hagai Chumba, manager at the National Advisory Board in Zambia, to come and give his perspective. Hi, Hagai.
Hi, Christina. Thank you very much. What a great session we had and amazing keynote speakers we had today. I think there are two major key takeaways I took from today's keynote speakers and session. One is that increased collaboration is required from governments, social entrepreneurs, as well as corporate leaders to accelerate a just and impact-led recovery. But also we need to exercise agency in responding to some of our current challenges, which actually COVID-19 has intensified. And there's no better time to act than now. It's vividly clear that COVID-19 has actually created a huge disruption, especially in the labor markets. And one of the sessions that I attended, we're actually talking about how can we support the reskilling, the upskilling, and the new skilling programs targeting the unemployed as well as the young people, particularly in developing countries where the youth unemployment is already relatively high. But also, this resonated with me so much because as National Advisory Board in Zambia, we are working with various stakeholders in interrogating the already existing government youth and skills development funds, as well as designing intervention on how they can effectively be improved in order to achieve a better outcomes. And this is why I see outcome-based financing vehicles playing a huge role in addressing the current pressing issues, particularly in employment. And it also offers a very efficient way of employing our resources. But also what stood out for me is the agency to accelerate impact capital flow to small and medium enterprises, which are the backbone of the economy, especially in Africa. There's no meaningful economic recovery minus the resurgence of SMEs. And this is why addressing the barriers to capital flows is actually fundamental. But it also calls for strong partnerships among ecosystem players, including governments. For example, in my country, the GST National Advisory Board, we are working with the central bank on restructuring over $500 million financing facility to help direct capital to small and medium businesses. Generally, we are seeing a lot of impact in investing initiative happening in Africa, especially with the GST National Advisory Boards, who are not only working towards responding to some of the critical issues of our time, but also catalyzing the development of the impact investment ecosystem. I urge everyone to join the African Region session tomorrow, which is starting at 9 PST, focusing solely on GST Africa National Advisory Boards, which are South Africa, Ghana, and Zambia, as well as the most recent impact investment task forces in Kenya, as well as Nigeria. And just come and see how they are responding to some of the critical ecosystem challenges and learn about great opportunities available for impact investment in Zambia, as well as in Africa at large. The need for increased collaboration in order to realize a just and impact-led recovery cannot be emphasized. COVID-19 has shown us how interconnected we are, but it's also showing us how interconnected our solutions must and should be. Thank you, Kristina.